Hi there, I'm Testimony Ode and I'm a writer, poet, artist, and everything in between. Today I'm excited to be talking to you about three things, which are my books, my writing process, and tips that you could use when writing your own story.
Waves of devotion calling out, you're calling out my name.
First off, I'd like to share a little on my writing history. At the time I was 7, I'd already started writing. I'd write about princesses and heroes and animals and all those kind of things. But when I was 14, I wrote my first ever novel and I submitted it to the Nigeria Prize for Teen Authors and it won. The following year, I wrote another novel and submitted it for the same prize and it won again. So I've got like the 2 books now traditionally published, which is like the most amazing thing ever, being a published author. Ulama, the first novel, is set in a suburban Nigerian home with a mixture of all the trappings that make an average home. The daily grapple with poverty, the escape route of religious fanaticism, and a desperate mother's attempt to make a life for herself and her family. It explores a twisted tale of ill-fated love affairs, betrothal, and a dark tryst with the underworld. It is a boldly witty novel that dares to speak on several topics considered taboo, even in modern-day Nigeria. Beautifully filled with suspense, drama, and just the right dose of comedy, Uloma tells a tale relatable to all. How I started writing my second novel baffles me till this day. That day, I just came out of the room and I had a word in my head, and it was feathered. And I'd never heard that word before, so I was like, what does that even mean? And I went to my dictionary and I checked it out and I saw that there was a definition to be buried, to be covered in feathers. And I just thought, why should someone be covered with feathers, in feathers? And I decided to explore that in feathered. 99-year-old Big Ma left instructions to be buried with feathers, not with her son or daughter or any adult, but with her 14-year-old granddaughter, Achiani. The little girl was the only one with whom she shared her collection of colorful feathers. What is a 14-year-old to do with such serious information? Will anyone believe her and carry out Big Ma's wishes when the time comes? Feathered is the story of the incredible bond between a grandmother and her special granddaughter in a family of dysfunctional people. The story is full of thrill and suspense and will keep you spellbound to the very last word. Whenever I'm working on a novel like this, I create outlines because it's very helpful for me to, see if I get stuck, I go back to my outlines. I'm like, okay, this is supposed to happen at this time and this time, so I know where my story is headed. At the same time, I do not make my outline so rigid to the extent that I cannot break away from it. I create an outline, but if the character decides to do something else, or my book does not go exactly the way my outline is, then it's no problem, because at the end of the day, you're telling your character's story. Your characters should be the one speaking. Your characters should be the one taking control. If it happens that you plan things to go a certain way, but now your characters want to do something different, or the story is going differently, then please let it happen like that, because it means that your story now has a life of its own. Another thing I do is to reward myself when I'm done, because it's really not easy to bring out a whole story from your head, put it into words, and give it out there, to the world for readers to experience what it is that your characters are experiencing. I remember when I was done with my current manuscript, and I told myself, if I finish this, I'm going to go and get myself candy. For someone who doesn't eat lots of candies, it's a big deal for me. So as soon as I was done with the work, I just went to go and reward myself. I was so happy. It's like, you've done something good, you've done something worthwhile, you've done something amazing. Reward yourself, buy yourself something, take yourself out, be happy. Now, I've got 6 tips that you can use when working on your own short story or novel or whatever it is that you are writing. Number 1 would be to bury perfection. Bury it 6 feet under. There's nothing like perfection. Stop running after it. Run after authenticity. Just be yourself. Write from your soul. Do not worry, is this word perfect? Is this work perfect? Is this paragraph perfect? Like, no. Just be yourself. Number 2, keep your plot simple and straightforward. It's okay to write about complex things, but please express complex things in a simple way. You have to realize that as much as you are writing for yourself and for your characters and for your story, you're writing for your audience as well. Communication is when the person that you're talking to understands what it is you're saying. When the person that is reading your work understands what it is you're writing. So you really want to try to keep your work simple. Number 3 is share your works to beta readers. Find beta readers to read your work. Do you understand the story? Ask them questions. Do you get the story? Is there something you think I should remove? Something you think I should add? Do you think I should explain a particular scenario further? What do you think I should do? Is this character important? Yeah, just really share your work with beta readers, because their insight is really gonna help you as you edit your story. Number 4, be open to constructive and positive criticism. When you put your work out there, you're putting it out there for people to say what the hell they want to say, to be honest. You know, and you have to understand that some people are really mean. They might just come and say stuff like, oh, never write again in your life. And you have to understand the difference between someone just being very negative, giving negative criticisms, and someone, you know, giving a positive criticism like, oh, your story is good, but I feel like it went off at a certain point and I think you should fix that point. You get the point. Number 5 is to not compare yourself at all. Don't do it. Sometimes I think it's very easy to just get in that space where you just bring your work and you bring the work of someone else that you admire and you're like, I feel like I've written trash because, you know, this person's work here is perfection. Do not compare your work at all. Art is subjective, very subjective. What you think is a masterpiece, another person is going to say it's trash. So understand that, you know, the way people evaluate artistic works really depends on them. Practice, which leads me to my 6th point. Practice. Practice leads to perfection, you know. You know, I said I do not believe in perfection, but practice makes you a better writer. So if you feel like your work is not good enough, just practice. Keep on writing. Give it to more beta readers. Use new techniques. Try different things. Explore. You're an artist. You are creative. Don't limit yourself. Just explore. Be free. Be wild. Be you. And keep writing.